The global population of 7.6 billion today is expected to hit 8.6 billion in 2030 and 9.8 billion by 2050. Now imagine this, as more people are calling Earth home, the amount of available agricultural land is actually declining. And extreme weather conditions are affecting harvest. Clearly, feeding the growing global population is one of the greatest challenges facing the world today. The third biggest agri-input company in the world, Bayer, believes the solution, well, at least one of them, is in hybrid. They're doing a test run in Mindanao. To tell us more about this, Bayer Philippines President Iiinas Ivan Lao and Department of Agriculture Region 12 OIC Embajador now join us here in our studio. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
So both agriculture guys, really appreciate the time that you're here. Iiinas, I want to start with you. From 2005 levels, Bayer is saying we need to boost food production globally by 60% to meet everyone's food requirements in the world. How do you intend to do that? I know that you're going into hybrid and you're trying it out in Mindanao.
So this project, we call it, of course, the 10,000 hectare hybrid rice project. We are partnering, of course, with Department of Agriculture Region 12. And for us is to, of course, shift the usage of 10,000 hectares of inbred rice land to using hybrid rice. And in so doing, we will be able to see that the farmers' harvest will grow by at least 20% or even higher. And with that, will also boost their income. What we try to do is, of course, first is to distribute our rice seeds to the farmers. Then secondly is to train and monitor them by teaching them how to grow the hybrid rice, monitor their usage and see how they're doing within the season. Then, of course, lastly, once the season's ended, which we feel will end at around September this year, we will, of course, celebrate the success of the farmers who grew successfully this rice crop and get them to give us also feedback.
Ray, what percentage of farmlands use hybrid right now in Mindanao?
Well, for the past years, we have only around 1%. And by planting this with the contract signing with the memorandum agreement with this company, we will be hitting close to, I think, 10%, around 37,000 hectares to be planted by rice, by hybrid rice this 2019.
And why is hybrid better? Talk to us about the details. For example, how do the yields compare? How do the yields differ? You mentioned it's going to be 20% more. The time it takes to grow, will it be faster, slower, the same? The cost of this hybrid seeds by hectare and the quality of the harvest. Tell us about that.
Well, for the hybrid rice program, although it is what we call the costly in producing compared to certified seeds, but in the end, the yield will increase by 20%. So as we all know, that certified seeds is just at the level of 4 metric tons in Region 12, and by planting this these hybrid seeds will goes up to a potential of 6 to 8 metric tons per hectare. So in the end, it will definitely increase the farm productivity and the yield of the farmers.
How about the cost?
The cost right now, if you look at the market, we're looking at an average between 4,000 to 5,000 pesos per hectare of hybrid rice. And as Sir Ray was saying, even if though there's an initial cost bearing for the farmers, the harvest that they get additionally will definitely, of course, cancel out the initial cost that they use for the hybrid
For
rice.
comparison, Iiinas, you've got 4,000 to 5,000 pesos seedlings per hectare for hybrid seedlings. What about for inbred? How much does it cost, the seedlings?
Inbred right now, you get around 3,000 to 3,500. But as we are talking about it, you can farm save this and use it for 3 to 4 times. Although initially, as Sir Ray said, if you look at it, cost is higher. But once you see the incremental increase in the harvest that you get from hybrid rice, this cancels out the cost that you've invested for hybrid rice.
What about, yes, sir.
The cost of per bag of the certified seeds is just 1,500, but as Iinas said that they uses 2 bags per hectare for certified seeds. That's why it goes up to 3,000 per bag.
Yes.
I see. And what about the quality of the harvest? Aside from the yields, the quality, would the rice, you say, be better? Do they have special qualities, for example?
Based on our variety, the Bayer rice seeds, what we've seen so far in terms of our produce is at par with some of the premium rice there. Eatability, the palatability, we call it, of the eating quality is actually quite good. There's actually aromatic sense for the rice hybrid that we have. And of course, in terms of buying it in the supermarket, it's basically the same cost as the premium rice that we have now in the market.
I want to go back to the story of Mindanao. Mindanao has about 97,530 square kilometers of land area. Imagine that 1/3 of land area is dedicated to agriculture. Mindanao produces 40% of the food supplies, food requirements of the whole country. But if you look at Mindanao, it's still home to one of the poorest regions. There's a lot of strife, a lot of violence there because there's not enough. Why the disconnect, you think?
Well, as you've mentioned, Mindanao is what we call the 30%, actually 30% of the total production of Mindanao in terms of rice comes from Region 12. And Region 12 composes of 4 provinces: South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Sarangani, and North Cotabato. And with that, as we all know that these areas have a potential for planting areas of rice, as I mentioned earlier, that we just have at 1%. So by planting this hybrid rice, 37,000 hectares, it will increase the adoption of this hybrid rice to close to 10% of the total area. And by saying that it's a poor, no. One of the thrust and priorities of the Department of Agriculture is that to increase the farm productivity and income. So shifting from the certified seeds in which the yield is just 4 metric tons to up above close to, I think, 6 to 8 metric tons, definitely it will also help the farmers get out from poverty.
You're also in talks with other companies producing these hybrid seeds.
Yes, yes. I'm not only this company, but also other companies that we have this model techno demonstration in the field that around 4 companies that we have. So the 10,000 hectares captured by
Bayer.
Yeah, and then the 37,000 captured with the other companies.
Iinas, do you see this as one of the solutions for farmers to cope with the rice tarification law? You've got farmers here expecting to take a big hit when the imported rice, cheap imported rice, comes in. Do you think how significant will this be of a help?
I think that's 2 parts. I think the technology itself, of course, will definitely help the farmer. By increasing the productivity of the farmer, you make them more competitive than, let's say, imported rice. But the second part, of course, of the rice tarification itself also, if we do get imported rice in, based on the law, part of the money will go back also will be invested back to the farmers through the Department of Agriculture as well.
And hopefully you guys reinvest it to hybrid seeds. Would that be part of the plan?
Yes, with the advent of this RA 11203 or the tarification law. In fact, we have this focus on the planting of these hybrid seeds, and we have this what we call the proposal for 2020 that we have to give additional areas, additional seeds for giving to the farmers with if it will be approved, giving also the interventions like, for example, fertilizers, pesticides, and all other components to attain the yield that we want to have.
Iinas, very quickly, Bayer has been in the country for 50 years?
In the country, yes.
Long time.
Yes.
That was a long time. And very interesting, we're actually the home base for R&D.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that? Why the Philippines?
Yeah, I think if you remember, Philippines traditionally is, of course, the key area wherein rice farming really started scientifically. If you look at it, we host here in the Philippines. And so the expertise is of course here with all the universities and expertise also within the Philippines. So Bayer as a company decided to of course invest in the Philippines because of the talent and the know-how that's here in the country. So both our seeds research for Southeast Asia and also our R&D for crop protection are both here in the Philippines in Calauan, Laguna.
And currently,
we are proud of that.
And currently you have 1,300.
We have roughly 1,300 employees, but this is not only for our crop science division. This of course includes our other businesses like our pharmaceutical division, our Bayer business services, wherein we also host our global financial support team here in BGC Manila.
You obviously sound very bullish about the Philippines. Are you planning to expand the workforce, grow it by perhaps a few hundreds more this year, next year?
This will definitely be based on, of course, our continuing evaluation of the situation. But you are right, we are bullish. And if we see the need to invest in adding manpower, we'll definitely do so.
And final question. So this Philippines is the home for the rice, for the seeds research, for the
Yes.
crop research. What technologies can we expect from Bayer? I mean, we're in the typhoon belt, we're in the earthquake belt as well.
Yes.
Drought is here, El Nino is bad. Are we expecting seeds that can withstand those elements? How soon?
Currently, we're already researching, of course, drought tolerance and even, of course, flood tolerance. And we're looking at between 2 to 3 years to be able to commercialize this. But beyond that, we also look into, we just launched last year a dual trait variety wherein this is tolerant to rice disease and also insects.
Okay, very exciting times, of course. Sir Ray, Iinas, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.